In the previous few lectures on Marxism, I had discussed the origin and the philosophy of Marx and Engels. And in those lectures, I had also discussed that how the class struggle begins because of the exploitation of the laborers and the exploitation of the workers. Now the way Marx and Engels had shown was followed by so many leaders, political leaders of throughout the world and the literary critics, literary scholars. Today I will talk about one of such political leaders and who had given Marxist ideal a successful domain, whose name is Vladimir Lenin. Vladimir Lenin was the leader of Bolshevik revolution in Russia at the time. From 1905 to 1917, 1920, this is the time when Lenin had given so many discussions of art and literature because of, obviously, the revolution. He attempted to use art, use literature as a means of revolution, and he successfully did that. Then, after Lenin in Russia, Joseph Stalin had come into existence, and when he had come into power of Russia, Soviet Socialist Realism began. And how Soviet Socialist Realism had shown a departure from Lenin's philosophy. That is the topic of discussions today. So in this lecture, I will discuss Soviet Socialist Realism and obviously the departure from Lenin's philosophy, which is absolutely based on Marxist idea of revolution. So let's start our discussion on Soviet Socialist Realism. If you ask me to give a very simple definition of Soviet Socialist Realism, what is Soviet Socialist Realism? Then I have to say that Soviet Socialist Realism is the official philosophy, official ideology of the writers of Soviet Union. When Joseph Stalin came into power of Russia, he had given some doctrines of philosophy, doctrines of art, doctrines of literature in Russia. Meaning, whoever want to write within Russia, they have to follow these doctrines. The Soviet Writers' Union had given some doctrines. Actually, these doctrines, these ideologies are called Soviet Socialist Realism. And this Soviet Socialist Realism was formed as a reaction to the modernist art, the modernist literature, which was actually based on formalist theory. Now, what is the base, what is the ground on which this Soviet Socialist Realism was formed? Soviet Socialist Realism was based on particularly the 19th century realism, social realism, and Lenin's doctrine of art, Lenin's doctrine of literature. Lenin had given his doctrine on art and literature before the Bolshevik Revolution in Russia in 1917. Meaning, his writings are, or better to say were, very much prominent in 1900, 1905, 1910, 1915, 1917 to 1920. And after that, his philosophy was modified by this union of the Soviet writers. Now, what was Lenin's idea about art, about literature? We have to know this because we are reading Marxism from the literary point of view, as a literary theory, not as a political theory. But politics will come automatically while we are discussing Marxism as a literary theory. That's why we have to know what is the doctrine of Lenin about art regarding literature. In 1905, Lenin has written an essay, and the name of the essay is Party Organization and Party Literature. In that essay, Party Organization and Party Literature, Lenin has given three terms. Which are the doctrines of Lenin regarding literature? What are they? The three terms are partynost, Klassowost and Narodnost. I am discussing these three terms. Partinost means the spirit of the party you have to follow. If you want to write anything, you are free to write in Russia. But if you want to write and if you want to publish your writing in our party journal, then you have to follow these three doctrines. What are the three doctrines? Partinost, Klassowost and Narodnost. Partinost means the spirit of the party. The class awareness of the party spirit you have to follow if you want to publish your writing in the party literature, in the party journal. Then what is Klassowost? Look at the term. These all are Russian terms. Klassowost means class awareness. If you want to publish your writing in the party journal, you have to follow the interest of the common class, meaning you must have the awareness of the class position. Second, third, Narodnost. Narodnost means popularity and social awareness. Your writings will be popular, will be called popular when you will have a kind of social awareness. A social realism must be there in your writing. So these three terms are the three doctrines of Lenin regarding art, regarding literature. Meaning, if you want to write anything in Russia, you are free to write. So Lenin was very much flexible about the doctrines of art, doctrines of literature. But if you want to publish anything in our party journal, actually at that time in Russia, when all the peoples of Russia were dreaming of revolution, party journal was a kind of Bible to them. So if you want to publish anything in that Bible, you have to follow these three doctrines. So that was the philosophy and the doctrine and the rule and the decorum given by Lenin regarding art and literature. Now if you ask me that what is my opinion regarding Lenin's view on art, Lenin's view on literature, I must have to say that literature must not be a cup of tea for the aristocrats, not at all. It must be accessible to the common people. The message of literature must be common to, equal to, must be shared by any one of the society. Thereby, one should keep in mind that Lenin was giving his doctrine of art and literature in the pre-revolutionary Russia. At that time, people were dreaming of revolution. No literature, no art should damage that dream. That's why Lenin was very much aware and conscious about literature and art. Actually, he had used art, he had used literature as a means of revolution, and he successfully did that. But the thing has been changed. The thing has been changed when Joseph Stalin had came into power of Russia. After Lenin, Russia was ruled by Stalin. And when Stalin came into power, Soviet Russia had formed a union of writers, which was known as the Union of Soviet Socialist Realism, meaning the Soviet Socialist Realists. They misunderstood the idea of Lenin regarding art and literature. Better to say, they over-understood the idea of Lenin regarding art and literature. They declared, better to say, they announced that anyone in Russia, if wants to write anything, they have to follow the spirit of the party. They have to follow these doctrines given by the Soviet Writers' Union, the doctrines which are given by the Soviet Socialist Realist writers. Meaning, in a single word, they have to follow writing the spirit of the party. They have to follow the favor of party. They cannot write a single line deviating the favor of the party, going against the doctrine of the party. Lenin was not saying this. Lenin said in these three doctrines that you are free to write anything in Russia. But if you want to publish your writing in our party journal, you have to follow these three doctrines, right? But Stalin said, no. If you are in Russia, Soviet Russia, then you have to follow the party's doctrines, the party's spirit. Otherwise, your writings will be banned and the writers will be punished. Actually, after the revolution, this union of the writers thought that, Stalin thought that all the Russians had become revolutionary and they have become communist. That was a kind of wrong idea of Stalin. Not all the people could be communist, socialist, not at all. That was a kind of misunderstanding of Stalin and all the followers of Stalin. What happened? Many writers were punished. Many writers started to elope from Russia, Soviet Russia. Many theaters were burned. Many writers were killed. So that was a kind of deviating dictatorship which was going under the leadership of Stalin on literature and literary writers. Soviet hostility to modernist literature has almost become a kind of archetypal phenomenon. Actually, socialist realism judged the bourgeois writers not according to their class origin or political commitment, but to the extent which their writings reveal insights into the social developments of their time. How much they are revealing the insight of the social developments. If they do that, then if they are bourgeois writer, no problem. They are revealing the insight of the social development, then they are okay. Whether they are bourgeois by their class origin or not, that does not important to them. Meaning you have to reveal the social awareness, the social development, the historical development of your time. Then you are okay. Then as a writer, you are fine to the Soviet Socialist Realism. And Soviet Socialist hostility to the modernist literature. Basically, novels can best be understood in this context. In 1934, Karl Radek has presented a paper in a seminar, and the title of the paper is James Joyce or Socialist Realism. Here, Radek wrote that for Joyce, James Joyce, the entire world is concluded within a brothel house or in some crawling books, in some medieval images, etc. He has brutally criticized Joyce for being too individual. His heroes are always alienated, giving an images of fragmentation. He stated that Radek argued that if someone tells him to follow one writer, he will follow Balzac, who according to the class origin is a bourgeois writer, but he will follow him. Why? Because in the writings of Balzac there is a thorough development of historical progress. A social awareness is there. The fall of the bourgeois is presented in the writings of Balzac. So you will follow Balzac, not Joyce. He stated the writings of James Joyce as a kind of cow dung which is crawling with worms. So you can understand the hostility of the Soviet socialism on the modernist writers. They thought that the writings of 1920s, which are considered as a kind of time of high modernism, are all decadent in spirit. They always present the fragmented images of the world of the society. All the heroes are isolating themselves. They all are isolated individual. They are not projecting the social progress, the social bonding, which are important for the revolution. So these all are missing in their writings. That's why they are decadent, they are reactionary, according to the Soviet Socialist Realist critics. So what will be our view on this debate? The debate, which is right? The modernist literature is right or the Soviet Socialist Realism is right? And the ongoing conflict between the two must be resolved. Though this debate is going on even till today, this is continuing, but our viewpoint must be very sharp, very clear, because modernist literature has been understood wrongly by the Marxist. That is a very good point, because modernist art is a mingling genre. Film, cinema influenced heavily the modernist art. Various cinematographic techniques like cut, jump cut, montage, collage, all are used in modernist art, in modernist literature. If we read Eliot's The Wasteland, apparently we can say that all of the sections, the 5 sections of Eliot's Wasteland have no connection. Apparently they have no connection. We cannot find any kind of connection among those 5 sections of Eliot's Wasteland. And all of these cinematographic techniques are used in the Wasteland. But if we read it, the poem very carefully, we can see that this fragmented technique of the Wasteland is projecting the disintegration of the modernist time, the modern period, the modern age. It talks about the fragmented scenario of our situation. So it is also a kind of revolution in its own way. But if we read the modernist art very carefully, for example the Wasteland, we can find a link among all those fragmented sections of the Wasteland. And this invisible thread we have to find out in order to understand modernist art, modernist literature, which was misunderstood by the Soviet socialist writers and the critics. Modernist arts are not decadent, are not reactionary. They are also talking against oppression. They are also talking against the fragmentation and alienation in their own unique way. So this is all about Soviet Socialist Realism, its origin from the Russian realism in the 19th century and from the doctrines of Lenin regarding art and literature, and the development of Soviet Socialist Realism in the hands of Stalin and the Union of Socialist Writers, and the continuous debate and the struggle and the conflict among the Socialist Realism and the modernist art and modernist literature. Though the debate continues even till today, but we have our opinion also. So these all are the topics I have discussed in this lecture. I hope you may probably understand all these things. If you have any difficulties, you can ask me. Any areas, if you have any problems regarding understanding, you can ask me in the comment box and I will try to answer them. Thank you.